Welcome to Promo Kitchen's newest educational series, Meet Us in the Kitchen. The kitchen is where industry leaders and independent minds come together to whip up a feast of fresh ideas. The volunteers at Promo Kitchen are thrilled to serve you a brand new educational series that's packed with relevant bite-sized insights and actionable strategies. Join other promo pioneers and watch these merch misfits spice up the conversation. And the giggles continue. Hey, everybody, it's me. I'm fired up because I have amazing friends on the other side of my screen. I have Roger Burnett and Renya Nelson, and Renya has visitors who are delivering goodies to her home, maybe paint, maybe concrete. Ren, I mean, you're in the middle of a remodel. You're like taking it real, old school.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, gutted and putting it back together, and now it's like the
Besides
final stage, so it's Detail City.
paint, trim, all that stuff. So before we get too far out of control, which I'm sure we will, and I'm looking
Yep.
very forward to, Renya Nelson, you are the CEO of Brand Aid. You are a badass mom with kiddos. You are reconstructing, remodeling your house. You're a friend. You're a visionary. You're an artist. Thank you for being here.
Oh, what a sweet intro. Thank you, Jay. It's an honor.
Well, it's real. And Roger, whatever. So, Ren, back to you. No, I'm kidding.
I
Roger Burnett. Roger
I
Burnett, the real deal. Roger is a OG chef, founding badass. He is one of my friends. He is doing all kinds of greatness. Like, don't forget, co-founder of Promo Cares. Don't forget, he's a fundraising strategist specialist and currently moving, shaking. Are you moving and shaking at Halo? Can I say that, Raj? Is that
there's
fit?
movement, there's shaking.
There's some move, there's some shakes. We are lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have you. I'm so grateful to have this conversation. So thanks again 1,000 times over, guys. It's serious, but it's fun. We never take ourselves too serious, especially when the three of us are hanging out, right?
Yeah, there's no
Uh,
point.
yeah. So I kind of tricked you guys into thinking that we were gonna just, hang out for some chips and salsa. I got the chips. Roger, did you bring any salsa over? No? Damn, Ren, you got any guac? Float.
No, I've got a couple, yogurts that have been sitting in
Oh,
out for a
yeah, I
day
don't
or 2.
like dunking chips into
No,
yogurt. It's not a
I'm on a pop-up table covered in paint.
nice.
Um,
Well,
got a you know,
oh, got some okay,
See?
isn't that
okay.
great?
See? She'll cut you, Raj. I'm telling you.
And then
Rest in case.
I'll bang you.
Merch is never far away, no matter what we're
Never
doing.
is.
It's
I
true.
know, and it's like these are the kinds of things just because we're merch people, but like lighter, box cutter, I mean,
I mean,
gotta get
she's ready to
practical.
cut and burn right there.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Well, listen, let's talk about community. Let's talk about audience. And I kind of gave you guys some maybe a prompt, maybe a mess. I'm not sure if I gave you anything, but I wanted to get it from the heart. When we talk about community, I was like, I know who I want to talk about with this subject. And I want to compare and contrast with audience. And so I kind of thought, wow, audience, we hear a lot about the transactional side. We all need the business. Before we clicked record, we had a little moment there where we were like, yeah, there's some real struggles and some real pains and a little bit of slowdown right now. Looking forward to a big bounce, looking forward to greatness just around the corner. Sales are critical, right? We sell merch, we're in this world. But what about community? What about belonging? What about the tribe? What about the heart and soul? So let's go with you first, Roger, if you don't mind. I know I'm going out of order and not doing ladies first, but Raj, what do you think about this idea of community versus audience? What's your take on that? What do you think when I shot that prompt to you? What were your like, oh God, here we go? Or what was it?
Well, I'll resist the urge to just be the enthusiastic adopter of anything that Jay asks. Generally speaking, when
Pushback, pushback.
Jay presents a topic, it's usually sufficiently meaty for me to want to ponder. In this instance, though, and I appreciate, Jay, that you hand selected, custom curated me to be a part of this because I would tell you that we as an industry we were always a community. We've always been a community.
Fair, fair.
But what I think we're getting at, and really the crux of what was interesting to me in the question that you asked was inter-industry within the four walls of our marketplace, suppliers do a much better job of building community, actually, because the community of suppliers is the distributors.
Hmm.
So
Okay, okay.
we're a little bit of a captive audience in
Yeah,
that we know they know that we buy what they sell. We are already surreptitiously part of a larger community. Now it's just part my job to like get you to come over to my room in the community to see like, do we vibe? Do we fit? Are we cool? But what I think distributors are wise to do, and I think Renya has done a really interesting job of this at Brand Aid, and definitely what we were trying to accomplish at Social Good Promotions is the idea of a distributor being able to create a community. And that's a whole separate topic
Mm,
unto itself because in the concept of audience versus community, if we're a community with our suppliers, I think our customers on the distributor side are often our audience.
right,
And
okay,
what the
and that's
difference is if we can get them closer to us,
yeah,
like suppliers have done with us, then you really have that sense of community. And we know what happens in community because Renya and I can tell you just this week of suppliers who may have saved our butts in some way, shape, or form. And it was largely because we were part of a community.
totally.
mm, love that. Okay, so I'm not gonna disagree. I think we would all agree that within that supplier, vendor, whether we call them partners or suppliers or whatever we call them, sometimes they treat us like an audience, though. They kinda treat us like a
Sure.
transaction.
For
Like,
sure.
it's there's not a lot of love there. It's like, they bail us out. Now, the good ones, the great ones, clearly are going to shower us with attention and they're going to treat us with some soul, some dignity, some love, and they really want to collaborate. They really do a great job of building that community. And I think that I'm sure that's true everywhere, but I think there's levels there, and that's what I wanted to get to was like when does audience end? When does community start? What do you think? What's your take, Renya?
So I think that's a really good point with the suppliers. It's their target is us, right? There's a list. They can pull that from the industry. We need them, right? They need us, but we desperately need them. And we see them. They pop into our office 3 to 4 times a year. They're seeing us more than we're seeing our clients, right? And then I think as far as community goes within our industry, I'm just going to give a massive shout out to the Canadians, Mark and Catherine Graham. I mean, I didn't know anybody. My story is like not traditional at all. I had no experience in the industry at all, and forged my way to understanding some stuff. I'd actually like worked for another company for like 3 months, but I was completely independent, and then just thought, you know what, I got ideas, so I'm gonna just try this,
I
right?
got ideas.
I got ideas, and it really wasn't until the first SKUCon that I went to down in Vegas where it was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, and like all of the ego came down because it's like, dude, we're all in the same boat. There are enough clients for everyone. It's not about competing, it's about the support. So I give them tons of props, and I'm not surprised that we had to learn about community from Canadians because Americans aren't. We're all for ourselves. So I've honestly learned so much from them, and like just share things with people. Who cares, right? It's better. It's a win-win. It comes back to you. So does that answer the community question, or do you want me to get grittier?
No, you can get as gritty as you want. You can be crunchy, grungy. You can be authentic here. Let me tell you. I love it. I love what you said. I don't disagree with that. I think there's a good shout out to our friends at commonsku, no doubt about it. Mark
Yeah,
Graham, another OG here from many years ago. Roger knows the community that was started for Promo Kitchen was in large part because of Roger and Mark and Danny, and
nice.
the list is too long,
Yeah,
but they saw the need, I believe, I still feel the need for within this community a tighter group
tighter
of
community.
misfits
Yeah,
and radicals and rebels that were willing to drop the fears and the egos and share more. I mean, so Roger, I'm sure consolidated that into a 30-second, it's much deeper than that, but I mean, don't you think that
Well,
that's kind of why Promo Kitchen started?
to me, when you stay within us, we're an amazing ecosystem of communities that are just like amoebas. We have overlap and we have where we bounce up against each other and we come together and we do things and then, we separate and it's really what makes us so unique. And I think it largely has to do with the fact that like the supplier salespeople are on the road the whole year.
Totally.
So they build their own sense of community because they have to keep each other afloat on the road on a
Mhm.
Tuesday when maybe somebody's not having their best night, right? So I think inherently that then drives all of the things that we would call like if we were sitting in a room and just started asking people to shout out communities within the promotional products industry, I'd like to think Promo Cares is a community and that
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
there's overlap and shared interest between Promo Kitchen and Promo Cares. Like once we got the courage and the understanding of how to make Promo Kitchen be what we wanted it to be, it gave those of us that were there for that genesis like a lot of confidence to be like, oh, okay, we can go start Promo Cares because we can mimic a lot of what we just learned, bring in Promo Kitchen to
Right.
fruition,
Yeah.
right?
Super cool.
So community is almost like this once the virus gets, it just starts spreading,
Yeah.
right? And because we are also inherently interested in moving things forward, our virus has a tendency to be for the good as opposed to the opposite, I
Thank
think.
goodness. Thank
Yeah.
goodness. That's a
I
great
think and to that point, it's like people wanna belong, right?
there you go. That's
They
it.
just wanna belong. And I
Well,
also wanna give another shout out and major shout out to Brenda Spears for starting Ripple, the Ripple Collective. And
mhm,
I'm part of group 1 and that came out of a skew camp in New Orleans. And it was like a round table, the dine around
mhm,
thing and meeting a few people going, how do we stay connected? Like how is this? And Brenda's just the most organized person I could never, ever manage the number of groups she manages. Everyone's got a Slack channel. I mean, I think our group's about 12.
yep,
And again, it's like, hey, got this big opportunity. Who's got a scope of work? Hey, who's got this? Da, da, da. Like it is nonstop sharing, you know? Hey,
that's
what's a
cool.
good what's a good commission split these days? What are people gonna take?
Oh, you guys get into the nitty-gritty.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, totally. And I'm the first one to ask finance questions too, because it's like, who cares?
Mm,
We're all in it together.
mhm.
You could be at 500,000, you could be at 6 million, and doesn't mean that this person at 6 million actually made that much money, profit, right?
Totally
It's
true.
The
true.
person
Totally
selling
true.
$500,000 on their own could have
100%.
pocketed a buck 50. And they're like, cool, no overhead, no office, nothing like that, no
Right,
employees, no
right.
health insurance, etc. Right? So, so I just firmly believe in those like close knit business groups as well because we're also all distributors in our group.
Love that.
So yeah,
No, and listen,
super cool. And
Brenda's
she's
awesome.
got like 12 groups now.
Great shout out.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Great
she's
shout out.
got like now there are groups that are just like in handling operations and some there's suppliers and it's really interesting.
So I love that we've talked about Promo Kitchen, Promo Cares, Ripple Collective, and Renda, you said it, this belonging, the need to belong, the want to
Yeah.
belong, to be especially relevant, to have whether we're print, promo, and apparel, all three just in one lane. What I'm concerned about, this is me now expressing my concern. What I'm concerned about is I'm using a really broad brush, but 80%, this is my perception, 80% of print, promo, and apparel, right? Whatever we want to call ourselves, branded merchandise industry, swagalicious, I don't care. The things that we sell are transactional often. And I think that that ends up leaning into that audience pool almost too much. And 80% are chasing the check, and 20% are chasing the feels, the belonging, the I want to
Totally.
make a difference. I want to support. I want to serve. I want, all of that. So what do you guys think about that? Am I right? Am I wrong? If you agree, why? If you disagree, why? Is there a concern there for you too?
I'd love to speak to this for
Please.
a second. Yeah. Jay, you and I were talking earlier. There, at one event 2 years ago, there with these guys from Codis Design who said that they wanted to be the first distributor to get to $1 billion. And I remember in that instant going, why? Like, why? Why that is that your goal? My goal is to have an employee ownership plan someday. I want people to stick around and be so proud, and I want their families to flourish, and I want equitable, salaries, and I want the transparency, and I really, really want to always maintain. If you come and work at branding, you can be yourself. As long as you don't have a big ass ego, be yourself. If you have an ego, you're not in. You can't do it because you
I
just
guess I'm
can't.
wrong.
Because if you've got a couple, we've had so much experience that way, and it just doesn't work. You can't maintain your culture if you've got a few people who are taking up all of that energy.
Mhm.
And so, gosh, what's the question?
No, the point was we were audience my concern is
Oh,
is
yeah.
the
Yeah.
audience part where people are so
The
transactional.
transactional.
And I'm not gonna I hear you. I'm gonna push back a little bit. If that was their goal, we don't know that it wasn't more than that. It just came across. I felt it too when it was said. I was in the room with you, and we both kind of were like, okay. I mean, like if you want, that's your launch pad and a
Yeah,
billion
and
dollars.
respect to them and all,
No, no, no. I know you're not
reality.
being disrespectful.
But
It's okay.
and then, the other thing I mentioned to you earlier was like being a woman founder, right? Versus a man. I think that, and I've seen this a lot in the Ripple collective group as well. It's the sales goals aren't out crazy out there, right? There's no CFO, there's no board, there's no like expectation that someone else is putting on you. And then at the same time, you really hope to have some good profit, and you have hope to like be able to raise your profit margin so that you can reinvest. And those are just brass tacks. But I also think that more money, more problems, and we live once, right? We get
Yeah.
one life.
We get one
And so
ride on
if
the
you
merry-go-round.
can't stand your colleagues and you don't like your work environment and you don't have the flexibility, that's the way to live, right? And so to me, it's the long game. It's not about the transaction in front of us.
Hmm.
And we strive to make as many, custom products, as fewer off the shelf. We also don't belong to a buying group. I'm proud to say that because we're not pushed into a corner with a certain tumbler. No way. Uh-uh. No. So
We got a
that-
full-scale rebel on our hands, Roger.
My screen name suggests that I'm just loving every second of he's talking about. Because, like, right? Unfortunately, I have way too much content on the internet about my musings about what we're talking about, right? There's this idea of like, are you a shop or are you a factory?
yeah,
Because a shop wants to solve problems using product and expertise. A factory just wants to make stuff.
yeah,
Making widgets.
So what are we? Okay. And what does my buyer need? Do they need a shop or do they need a factory right now? And I need to be in the position to be able to give them either or both, depending on the situation. Now, here's what I would say to you about the transactional nature of our industry, because I may have done a whole content series on this, Jay Busselle, about this idea of the journey from knowing to liking to trusting,
Yes.
right? And most people think that's some kind of linear, I don't even exactly know how it happens. It's just like Renya and I met each other. She sat next to me at a SKU one time and now we're best friends. Like, I don't know. It just, how does that happen? It doesn't.
right.
But most people, if you ask, people buy from people they No,
Like,
like, and trust. Everybody will
totally.
answer the question, but if you say, "How do you do it?" No one knows.
No one
And if
knows.
I asked you, "Where am I and Jay on the know, like, trust journey right now?" You and I might have very different answers about where each of us are because we don't spend any time talking about this. So here's what I think. The long game says to me, I'm going to take your transaction and I'm going to crush it. And in that process, I'm going to find out who you are.
Yeah,
If you're the person I hope you are, then we can do some more transactions while we're building towards whatever amazing end game we're going to do together. But I'm not going to preclude you from doing business with me because you want to do a transaction.
Love it.
Because what I've learned in my know, like, trust self training guide that I've created for myself is that a lot of times people will buy something from you as a test of whether or not they can trust you.
mhm,
So just because they bought something from you doesn't even mean they trust you. So we have to be careful about when we say transactions. Are we
Mhm.
talking about what you and I are exchanging as people? Because that's a different transaction unto itself. If you're a jerk and I'm trying to get a tumbler order from you, you can get to stepping.
totally.
But if we got to do something to find out if we're going to love each other forever, then I'm all about taking an order from you.
No, I love it, Roger. You thank you. That's exactly what I hoped you would say. Why I wanted you on this call and to share what you just shared because there is
Yeah.
a blend. There is a blend. We know we have to earn the trust. We know we want to grow with our clients and have
But
a
and like you
like.
said, it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
It goes both ways. A younger era of brand aid, it was like, yeah, whatever. Who are you? Yeah, I'll take it. Anything. And I'll kiss your ass and I'll give you my cell phone number. And you can text me that you're pissed because the tracking said today and it was delayed. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Once you grow, it's like you grow up a bit. I just turned 40.
Hey,
It's
Well,
cool.
so
It's
did
super
I.
cool. Yeah. You sure
just,
did, Jay.
just
Just
that.
just
Just.
just recently.
And nowadays, if that were to come into my orbit, I would definitely, not it'd be a polite like, I don't know if we can help you, but call these people. Just don't. Like it goes both ways because if you can't trust them to be kind to your people, to be kind to you, to trust our process, to anyway, ramble.
No, you're not
Tangent,
rambling.
sorry.
Your tangent is right in line with what Roger said. I think you build on that, and it was very valuable. Ren, you think about a couple of the times we've had discussions in the past. You had a amazing campaign that I have profiled on other previous podcasts and video casts or whatever we call this. And we talked about the street art that was across the street from your location and why that campaign touched me so much. And one of the reasons that I would follow you to the ends of the earth is because you led with your heart and you were trying to solve a problem and you didn't wait for someone to ask. And so I think that Roger, when we were trying to find that sweet spot between yes, we need transactions, but we really do want to find and build the community. Renya, if you could share with us a minute, a 2 minute, 3 minute, whatever you
You want
can in
that
the time.
story?
Yeah, a little bit. I
Okay.
just think it's so impactful and a lot of we need more of that in this community, the promo
Oh,
kitchen
every
community, the
community
promo cares
does.
community, and hopefully everyone that we
Totally.
touch. So I hope you don't mind that I'm putting the
No, not at
spotlight
all,
on
not
you.
at all. Okay, here's the story. Here's what happened. When I was living in LA, I worked for a marketing agency and I worked under Amp Energy. That was like the account I worked on. And that was a Pepsi brand. And there was and basically I was the national event director, so we gave sponsorship money, right? And our angle was really niche art as much as we could. Anyway, so I go down to Art Basel, and this is before the Wynwood district had anything in it. I mean, it was three-legged dogs and sagebrush, and just a bunch of abandoned warehouses. And these two guys had gone to the mayor and basically said, "Hey, we want to bring in these artists from all over the world and paint all these buildings. Can we do it?" And they were like, I don't see why not. Here's some money to do it, basically get some permission, I guess. I don't even know if they did. I mean, Shepard Fairey was there painting the facade of a 90-foot building and nobody was watching.
Wow.
Retina. I mean, they're artists that like,
Wow.
yeah, it was really crazy. So anyway, cut to when I had moved back to Salt Lake, our office was down in a similar, not not Miami similar area, but an industrial area. And this city is really interesting because we're kind of like, the blueberry and the red as well, like conservative state. But the juxtaposition of that is like when you're growing up and you're not in the faith. I'm like, I don't care if I say
What
that
are you looking around for?
because there's Mormons.
They're gonna get you. They're right here.
They're
Uh,
listening.
whatever.
You just made my day. That was hilarious.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
so
They're
because
knocking on
so
your door. Are there two of them out front with bicycles? That's what I
no,
want
I
to know.
think yep, name badges. So
Okay.
so growing up here, if you aren't in, that part of the what I gosh,
Different
yes,
community, right? Okay.
it over the years has created this very like it's very cool like underground scene here. It's a really cool city. And not that many people know about it and a lot of people are just like, "Oh, it's just super that," right? At any rate, so when I was down there, I was like, I'm gonna just go to the mayor and to propose some murals because you can't see it. And that's something to me about art is that, if there isn't art on the street in the building on buildings everywhere you can possibly see art, how are young kids gonna grow up to even think about making art, right? They can't go in a lot of kids, can't go into a gallery. An art class might just not even happen in some schools. It's like,
Right.
it's
Right.
not fair, right? And art's just one of those subjects. It's the first to get cut because it doesn't matter. But anyway, so
But
I go to the city.
it matters to you, it matters to me, it matters to Roger. So,
Oh, yeah. It's everything, right?
yeah, for sure. Really.
So anyway, so I, went to the mayor and they liked the idea, but it was also like, how do we fund it? So they come up with they're like, hey, we'll fund this like $150,000 towards this, towards 10 murals. So all these, some artists like pitched their idea and most of them who did got it because I don't think it was like all that well advertised.
They had 11 people out of
Totally. They had 11 people and they all got it. So here I am, like working through. It's really cool, but the city's managing the money side of it. But it's really cool because we got art. And honestly, if I had done it, I would have set aside like 75,000 for local artists and 75,000 for two big, big, big artists, right? So there'd be like an artifact basically. Anyway, so super cool. It happens. And while it's happening, like I'm looking out my office at the wall that like inspired it, a
across the
hundred
street.
feet of cinder block that I was like, why didn't I submit? Right? Like, what? So next door to us, it opened a Volunteers of America teen shelter, a youth shelter. And even like when they were building it, our leasing agent came by and was like, "Hey, it could be pretty rowdy down here. Everyone's like allowed to break their lease." And it's like, oh, "Come on, they're kids." I mean, it was rowdy, but these are also kids who don't have parents, right? Nobody's looking after them. They don't have grandparents. They're no one's thinking. No one's thinking about them. So you also have to like be empathetic to the fact like they're not shitheads. They don't know better.
They don't know what they don't know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I reached out to the owner of that building who's also like kind of a philanthropist and he gave us like 600 bucks to put into some paint. And I was with two of my buddies at a bar and just told them like, yeah, I got this idea because it's out in front of the VOA and I want to have a message for these kids so that as soon as they walk out, like they're thinking of something, right? Like they're thinking of something bigger than what their life looks like now. And so out of those beers came We Make the Future. And so we painted this, like, oh, probably over 100-foot wall, about 20 feet high. And what we did was like, we used a projector to get the letters. It's huge, it's massive, and it says, "We make the future." And what we did with the bottom half of the letters is we left it open, and then we had the kids come and paint it in. And also as like a way for them to protect it, you know,
Yeah, because you
because
made it theirs. It's
Sure.
we made it
brilliant.
theirs.
It's
Yeah,
theirs.
Yeah.
When the merch is theirs and they co-collaborated and co-designed it and they
totally.
that's the genius of it.
It was so, so special. And like, there was this kid painting real up close, just like couldn't really be bothered, little shaky, and no one could quite see what I think she was drawing. And like, once it was done, it was like this little kind of cool bunny face, and it said, "Being nice is punk rock."
I love it. Where's the T-shirt?
Boom.
Well,
Where
it's
is
so
the
weird
T-shirt?
that you guys say this. I
Funny you
don't
should
even.
ask.
You know what? So okay. So I'll tell you about these. Like, we do really big, like, client gifts at the end of the year, but this is.
Let's
We
go.
make
Let's go.
the future.
Okay. We win. We win. There it is. That's
That's
community right there.
Right?
I mean, what are you
Totally,
talking
totally, and getting everybody involved, right? And not having it be one person's identity, like, "This is my wall." It's like, "No, let's make
It's
this for
ours.
everyone. Let's give some hope. Let's let them get their hands dirty."
Well, when we talk about community, that's why I knew I had to have you on. I knew I had that
Aw,
story in my mind. But Roger, I want to give you the last word because you're such a great teacher. You're a great educator. You see this from so many angles, from the business angle, from the philanthropy angle, from the just the fact that you named your socially good, the social good promotion. I mean, dude, this is in your DNA. This is who you are. I mean, as I've gotten to know you over the years, this is where I think you shine. So leave us with some parting words and wisdom. I don't know if there's anything to add, but I want to give you some time to reflect and to share and whatever feels right, brother.
That being nice being punk rock is in and of itself really like the ethos of what we're talking about. But the geopolitical climate in our country right now is very unsettled. Fair.
I think that's a fair statement. Yeah.
And regardless of the marketplace that you serve, I'm going to guess that you're hearing a lot of the same things that I'm hearing, which is people are just unsure of what to
yeah.
do, right? So the biggest example I have of the no like trust continuum example that I presented in the book Red Goldfish really played out during 2020 because in a time when the stakes were really high and the need to purchase a product oftentimes could be the difference between your business surviving or not. The need for trust was at an all-time high,
Hmm.
right? Because there was so much at risk on the decision that you were going to make, really, regardless of what it was you were going to buy, besides hand sanitizer and
Yeah.
masks. But even hand sanitizer and masks, we know because many of us were selling that product, were not made equal. And you may or may not have gotten the right side of that equation when you were trying to source product for your people, right?
Absolutely.
So we were in a high trust need environment with scarce supply,
Mhm.
right? So what we were saying was in those instances, you needed three different kinds of people. You needed helpers, hoarders, and hustlers. And if you didn't have trust-based relationships built, if you were a helper and you didn't have a hustler, you might be in trouble. If you're a hoarder and you don't have a helper, how does anybody get what you have?
Mhm.
Right? So when times are uncertain, like maybe, I don't know, today, the need for trust increases exponentially when it comes to your need to feel confident about the decision making that you need to make in this very moment. And if you don't have a community, how do you decide?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's what I want to ask because then it is just a transaction. And if the stakes are high, like most people feel like they are today, why isn't anybody buying anything?
Hmm.
It's because they haven't built their community to a place where they have others in their community that they trust enough to be able to make a decision that they can rely on. And to me, there's no better example of why community is important than that analogy that I just drew for
I've
you right
never
now.
heard that before, and I love every word of it, Roger. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
do
if you've
too.
shared that before, but that's new to me, and I love it. Hoarder, hustler, and helper.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I can't take credit for it. Mr.
Oh my
Rosen, once
god. Are
again.
you kidding? Oh, he got us
He's such a
again?
legend.